Hey guys, it's Stephanie with Seed Sprout and Grow. I was just working out in the garden, working up a sweat. You might still be able to see some remnants. And I thought maybe I'd just do a garden tour today because it's cloudy out, so it's not terrible outside. And I was out there harvesting a bunch of stuff, and I just wanted to let you see kind of where we're at in late June, I guess it is now, and what we're harvesting. Okay, so here's some of the harvest that we've got. This is a beet. It's definitely one of the bigger beets I've ever grown. This is not a cut so much as just a dimple, eggshell, but they're pretty big. Here's my hand for size. That's a big beet. I don't know why it's elongated. I think maybe because this half was kind of sticking out of the ground that it created an elongation, but then I harvested these two also. So we will use the beets. We will use the beautiful beet greens. Here is some, this is perpetual spinach. It's a form of Swiss chard that can take the heat really well. Underneath is some of our mustard. Most of our mustard went straight to seed, but there were some smaller plants I was able to harvest. And then just kale, and more kale. Just piles of kale. This is like our third kale harvest maybe of the season. I think this is curly blue leaf kale. Last year we tried Lacento kale. I hated it. This is like your standard kale. I love it. It's delicious. We dehydrate a lot of it to save for later, and I'll freeze it. But it's just beautiful. It produces so much food, and it seems to take the heat really well. The last remnants of our peas. These are Wando peas. I've been harvesting for a while now, and this is probably as much as I'll get. The rest are just out there going to seed. And then the strawberry plants are still making strawberries. It's incredible. I thought that they were done, but they just keep making them. So we get like 10 or something a day, or every couple of days still. We've gotten about 4 gallons of strawberries this season, and this is just dying off. So these are just bonus berries, I call it. All right, I'm going to take you outside and show you the garden. I think I'm actually going to start in the greenhouse. This is our greenhouse. It's a quick tent. It's from Amazon. It's, I think 20 feet by 8 feet, 10 feet. I'm not certain. It was maybe $120 or $200 or something along those lines. It was one of the cheapest ones we could find. It's definitely not the best, but it totally works for what we're doing. We've got the exhaust fan blowing in to give it some air. We've got the thermometer. If I can keep this thing around between 80 and 90, I'm happy. So we're doing good in here today. It's a nice cloudy day. These are just trees. We may end up bonsaiing them because we're just like over trying to plant trees with goats. Here's a bunch of starts that I'm still doing. Our sweet potato slips that are growing. And then we've harvested some of those, and we have them rooting in these pots. They're just about ready to plant, and I'll show you where we're going to plant them. They're going to be where our potatoes were, and just some other random sort of last minute starts. These are a bunch of herbs and flowers that I started because we're having so much problems with pests in the garden that I'm just trying some different techniques out. These are some more sweet potato starts that we just ordered. They were basically just stem, but now you can see that they have started growing some leaves. They've been out here maybe a week. They're doing really well, and they will also be transplanted soon. And then in the rest of the greenhouse, what you can see here is we ran out of bed space outside. So as an experiment, we planted a bunch of our squash and pumpkin type things in here. And then these poor tomatoes got to get staked up, but they're very healthy. A bunch of like random tomatoes that we just didn't have room for. And they're just doing incredible. The things, again, and I have the stakes, but I just haven't tied them on. Some peppers and stuff back there too. They're doing so well. The white stuff that you see is diatomaceous earth that we put on a long time ago, but because it never rains in here, it's still on the plant. The pests don't really seem to get in here. We're able to keep the watering very stable. The temperature stays nice and warm. So definitely, I think our happiest plants overall are these in the greenhouse. There's tons of different kinds of things in here. I can't even tell you what it is because I forgot. But there's like butternut squash, pumpkins, a bunch of different kinds of squash. Something we're trying this year called a Tahitian melon squash. These are orange butternut squash. They're so beautiful with their variated leaves. I just love them. These are some kind of melon, Shantae melon or something it's called. I forget. and then just random peppers and tomatoes that we ran out of room for. So this is the greenhouse. It's nice to be in here when it is raining. These are a couple other like fruit trees and stuff that we ordered that were very bad off when they got delivered to us, and they are just starting to rebound. Some figs, goji berries, mulberries, pomegranates. This is ginger, is just starting to come back. And then apple seeds that we are trying from seed just to see what happens. And these are grapes that we actually, I'm gonna say harvested from our neighbor's grapevine in the middle of the night, and trying to grow some grapes, and they're doing really well too. So let's go out to the main part of the garden. Here is the main garden bed. It has been expanded and expanded. It's probably like close to 100 feet long, and I don't know, like 30 feet wide. I'm terrible with distance. Over here's the chickens, and this is just a shelter we have to keep them from the warm, but between the rain and the wind that we've been getting, it is done. So that's got to be removed, and it's just has not been yet. Here is one of our little corn patches. We just did kind of a mini corn patch this year. This is a variety of white corn, ever something it's called, I can't remember. But these are very interesting because I have not seen our corn in the past do this before. They have the main sprout, and then there's like 2 or 3 side sprouts coming out, and I'm excited to see what those side sprouts do, because I know that the corn grows off of the main sprout, or at least that's how it has been in the past for us. So we haven't grown this variety before, and I'm looking forward to see what happens. This is one of our trellises. This is our squash trellis with a old rusty wheelbarrow leaning on my sunflowers. These are Mongolian giant sunflowers that were volunteers from a plant that fell over last year. The tallest one is probably like 7 feet at this point, and I didn't plant these. I don't water them. I don't do anything to them. They're perfectly happy, and I actually really like that they're going through the trellis because it can help support them. We've got 2 different kinds of squash growing up, one on this side, one on this side. I know this is spaghetti squash, but I absolutely forget what type of squash this is, but something that vines, and they're doing really well. They're vining up. We do have some bug damage from, oh, he just fell off. He was there. These little beetles, Asian lady beetles, I think they're called. They're not killing our plants or destroying them, but definitely they're not super happy with them. And we've got baby squash just starting out. There's a couple that I've noticed down at the bottom there. More squash on this side. I know maybe the one on this side is delicata squash. On the other side, it's some weird squash that we haven't tried before. I guess we will find out when they make fruit. Back here's another corn patch separated from the other because we will try to save a little bit of seed. This is golden bantham, I know. This is one we have grown before and we've had great success with, and it was so delicious last year, so we're excited for that. Down here is our pepper patch, and the peppers have just started exploding in the last few days. I read somewhere that peppers like to have a partner, so all of the peppers in this pepper patch, except this poor sad guy all by himself, have a partner with them. Again, many different peppers, bell peppers, jalapenos, paprika, cayenne, probably something else I'm forgetting in this little spot. They're interspersed with basil, which is doing pretty well, and I've come out and harvested, I think, twice now to hopefully kind of keep the pests away, and it seems to be working because these guys are not really getting bothered by too many pests. And some old cilantro that was there. But this is a pretty big patch. I'd say it's like 8 by 3 or 4 feet, even though maybe it doesn't look like that in this picture, but those are peppers. This is my pride and glory, our cilantro patch. They are like 4 feet tall, absolutely beautiful flowers, very delicate when you get up close and look at what they look like, and the pollinators love them, especially the lightning bugs. Look at them going to town right there. We're not harvesting cilantro off of these anymore, but we will harvest seed, which will be coriander seed. And the chickens actually like the cilantro. I don't know if it's good for them or not, but they do get cilantro every once in a while, and they'll pick it clean. They like it a lot. These are some more beans kind of interspersed in here. This is soybeans, I think. This is black beans, black turtle, which we grew last year and loved. And this is something we're trying called black garbanzo beans. So that should be interesting. These are our 2-year-old green onions. This is the Kishi Ho, something bunching onions from Baker Creek Seed. It's the never-ending onion, in my opinion. It continues to sprout. I come out and harvest it probably once a month, and we dehydrate everything, and it just keeps going and going. It's gone to seed. It's given us seeds, and it just keeps going. And we're just gonna leave it in here as long as it wants because we use it all the time. Okay, back around this side, we've got summer squashes interspersed with tomatoes, and I think these are all Cherokee purple tomatoes in here. They just are doing great, and they look so beautiful. Again, the stakes are up, but I haven't actually put them in. I think these are yellow crookneck squash. This is like a Caserta something zucchini. I had to replant it 3 times in this location. So I don't think it's the zucchini because this is one also, and it seems to be doing fine. I think something's up with this patch and it's not happy. But there's a Caserta zucchini, and then the regular zucchinis, which, oh, they look kind of sad because those bugs just won't leave them alone. So this may be something we don't actually get something off of, or we just get a few and have to pull and try to replant it. But luckily you can plant zucchinis a lot throughout the season. Here's like our main tomato patch. It kind of goes back all the way to those beans I showed you a second ago. It's pretty big, like 15 feet by 5 or 6 feet. And in the tomato patch is also all of our onions, which are pretty much ready to be harvested. We've been harvesting a few. Like that one's fallen over. That one needs to come out. A couple little red onions that didn't do quite as well, but the white onions or yellow or whatever they are, doing really well. And then these tomatoes in here, again, need to be staked, but they are all of our canning tomatoes and paste tomatoes. So the determinate varieties, I think we did San Marzano and Amish paste is I think what's in here this year. And then you can see this is like the first open flowers that we've seen. There's been a couple maybe on the Cherokees, but hopefully we start getting some tomatoes pretty soon in here. Another couple volunteer sunflowers, just beautiful. These are maybe 6 feet tall. I just love them. I just let them do their thing. There's some random cabbage in here as well that I just didn't have a spot for underneath the cloche, which I'll show you in a second. And so we just planted them here. And then finally, the last thing in this bed I want to show you is our leek. This leek was planted last spring, and a bunch of its friends were planted last spring, which we harvested, but this one shot up this insane scape that has been here now for like 2 months, just flowering and gorgeous, and I always see pollinators on it, and hopefully we get some good seeds from it. So I'm just letting it do its thing. The pollinators just really seem to like it, and it's so pretty. And this thing is like chest high on me. Like, it's so tall up. I don't even know how it maintains support. It's so tall. This was my, I don't want to call it failed because we are getting stuff out of it, but semi-failed winter, I guess early spring crops. These are all the mustard that went straight to seed. This was some kind of Japanese variety from Baker Creek. I forget. There's still one that we maybe could harvest. I'll probably end up just giving it to the goats. The goats really like these. Under the cloche, which I just opened because it's about to rain and I want them to get a little, is some cabbage. I think these might be green acre cabbage. The other 2 varieties of cabbage that I planted this year just didn't really do well. There is slug damage on them, and we've been battling the slugs, but the actual cabbage itself looks really beautiful and healthy, so I'm not too worried about those. Here's broccoli. This is actually the best I've ever done with broccoli. This one plant is very happy. It's like 2.5 feet tall, and I can see that it's got a baby broccoli just starting to form on it, which I'm really excited about. I've literally never been able to grow broccoli in my life, so that's cool. Some more mustard, and then right here I had tried to plant a few, but those are the only 2 that came up. It was marked as iceberg. It's clearly not iceberg. I don't know what it is. It's beautiful. I'm probably just gonna let it head, and then I'll harvest it then because it looks so nice. Random assortment here. Some volunteer marigold from last year, another beautiful volunteer sunflower, and then carrots in the back there. Another random patch. Our huge marigold plants. Last year, they just were incredible, like 3 feet by 3 feet bushes. And this one is already, it's over 3 feet. It's like almost up to, oh, past my belly button. But no flowers yet, so hopefully soon. Lettuce bed that's going to seed because it's gone bitter. And there's a couple celery in there too, I think, but I don't plan on harvesting them. I don't think that they'll actually make it to the celery stage. Another old bed of lettuce that we're letting go to seed, and then I feed the chickens every once in a while. Another volunteer marigold. Some more beautiful cilantro, and then this more carrots in here. These are turnips. We're letting go to seed because we only had like 10 turnip seeds that we planted. We harvested a few, but most of those are just going. More mustard going to seed. This is like green wave variety, and here's some more here too. These are the only ones that we really are getting harvest from. They're staying babies and not really going to seed. Just planted some squash here, and then those little sprouts that you see are zinnias coming up. It's some kind of summer squash. I forget what it is. This is our perpetual spinach Swiss chard that I just harvested. I try to harvest it because they're planted so close so that they don't actually get too big. Here's our beautiful kale, again, that we just harvested, but very happy. And the slugs really don't seem to bother it, even though everything else in this patch they really like. Down here's some cucumbers that just are not happy. They've been this size for a long time. They actually look better than they've looked in quite a while, so I'm praying there's still hope. Here's a milkweed I planted last year. It's just flowering. It's just so pretty. I love it. And I hope we get some butterflies and caterpillars coming on it. And then this was the beet bed. There's a couple that were not quite ready, so I'm just letting them finish. Here is our, I guess I'll call it our dry bean trellis. It's 2 of them and all different kinds of beans. Honestly, I should have marked them because I forgot. I know that this is, I think, Cherokee Trail of Tears black beans. Who knows what this is? Some other dark bean, maybe some kind of red bean or something. I forget. Over here on this side is pinto, and then I planted some zinnias there, so that's what you see coming up. The pintos were just planted from a bag of pinto beans from the store because I wanted some. So those are that. These are, God, what are these? Maybe these are cowpeas. I think these are cowpeas. These are Good Mother Stallard. They have not been doing well. This is actually the best they've looked in a while. Very stunted, very yellow. I gave them more compost. I gave them some fertilizer. They seem to be doing a little better. Hopefully they last. And then these are lima beans, which also not doing so well because the pests just loved them. They centered all of their focus onto these beans and really annihilated them when they first came up. But you can see they're looking good, starting to come up. And I planted some more to try to fill out the bed. So hopefully those will be here soon. Okay, these beds are not doing well either because the pests are just, they're driving me nuts. These are a type of nightshade from Baker Seed called Schwarzenberry. It makes like a little, almost blueberry looking thing that I guess you can make jellies and pie out of. Here's some. These plants stayed in seedling trays too long and they were unhealthy when I planted them, and now you can see that the pests are devouring them because they were unhealthy. So unfortunately I'm not holding out much hope for those. I may actually end up pulling them. This is a cucumber bed interspersed with nasturtium, and again, as soon as these things started coming up, the pests ate all the leaves. So they're just starting to come back from like the little stick that was left after they ate them. So that's unfortunate. And then this has a bunch of different things in it. Okra is the main thing that's planted in here, but there's hardly any. That's one. And then these are Mexican sunflowers, just kind of interplanted. But these beds just aren't doing well. This is the remnants of our peas and sugar snap peas. They are just about done for the season. It's just too hot for them. Most of the seeds that we're going to keep are on the plant right now. I like to leave them on the plant and let them dry naturally and then harvest them for storage for our next seeds. But this is just a little A-frame. It's not great, but after these come out, I'm going to plant some more green beans here and they'll do fine. Here's a couple of sweet potatoes we ordered way too early in the season. They died off and then they came back. So some kind of like a white sweet potato with a purple inside. I'm looking forward to it. There was also okra planted in here, but none of it has come up at all. Or no, I lie. There's one right there. Or if it did come up, I think things ate it. So I'll probably replant it. Another volunteer. Oh, here's our sheep, if you can hear them. They're hanging out. They're hungry little critters. But they all like to come up when I'm out in the garden. I'm surprised the goats aren't out here. This is garlic that we're about to harvest. We planted it not at the right time, but I pulled one up just now to see what it looked like. And it looks like we still will get something off of it. I mean, it's definitely not a huge, beautiful garlic, but it's also not nothing. It's got bulbs, it's got cloves. So I think it'll be fine. But we'll harvest these soon. They were planted from store garlic. You're really supposed to plant them in fall and harvest around this time. So they're just confused and it is what it is. Here's our massive strawberry patch. Untended, untamed. I know that there's a lot of techniques to grow strawberries that involve thinning and this and that, but I'm of the mind that these plants wouldn't grow like this if that's not how they wanted to grow, and they produce a ton of strawberries for us. So we just kind of let it do its thing. It is starting to send out runners, which, because there's no more space in this bed, we will harvest a lot of these runners this year after they set some roots and try to replant them in a different bed to get like double the strawberries. Here's our very large artichoke plant. It was looking beautiful until a few days ago, and maybe if somebody knows what this is, but I don't know if this is insect damage. I haven't seen any on here, so that's why I'm thinking it's something else. But it started getting unhappy. But this stalk is incredible. I've never seen an artichoke stalk make this many artichokes. On this one stalk, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 artichokes on one stalk. It's incredible. So clearly that one's happy and he's doing fine. One that I planted from, I pulled a plant off of this plant and planted it here, so it's doing well. This is our asparagus patch, kind of lining the strawberry patch. I know that they make good friends. This is our last year of waiting. After this year, we will be able to harvest our asparagus and use it. Here's one that just came up. It just sends ones up all the time, and it like kills me not to be able to harvest it, but we're doing the good thing. We're waiting. It's making seeds, so hopefully it will plant some, and or I can collect some. And then in this bed this is our blueberry bed, but again, I ran out of space for all the things I planted, so there is some squash in here too. But these are our blueberry plants we planted this year, and they're just so beautiful. These blueberries are so big, and we're just waiting to be able to harvest them. I harvested one yesterday. It was not quite ripe, so we're just waiting. But there's like 7 blueberry plants in here, and most of them have a few blueberries on them. These are first year plants. I don't know how old they were when we got them. And then in here is blue Hubbard squash, which was the #1 squash I was excited for. But God, things are just tearing it up. There is the culprit, one of them, the Asian lady beetle. But the new leaves it's sending out look healthy, so I still have hope. I really want a blue Hubbard squash. They look so cool. And then at the very edge, I started a couple more artichokes from seed. So at the very edge of the bed, there's some first year artichokes that may or may not give us artichokes this year. Over here, again, I ran out of space. So this is a brand new bed that we created this year, and the plants are not so happy because of the fact that it's a brand new bed, but they seem to be making a comeback. These are North Georgia roaster squash. There's a beautiful squash flower. And today is the first day I really noticed that they're sending out a lot of bright green leaves instead of these like sad yellow leaves. I've given them a lot of iron and blood meal and things to try to pep them up since the bed is so new. I think these are some volunteer cucumbers that were in some pot I grew. Oh yeah, there's one. Look, there's one. So maybe we will get some, but I don't have much hope for this bed, if I'm being perfectly honest. Probably I'll make it an herb bed next year. There they are again. And the second to last thing in the back is our berry patch. These are our raspberries on this side here. This is our very rigged up raspberry trellis, but it kind of works for us. The berries go up and then they sit on top for easy access. There's 4 different kinds of berries in here. I absolutely hate whatever these berries are. They look beautiful, like beautiful raspberries, but they are so seedy, and the like beady part falls apart, so they just like fall apart like marbles. I hate them. I want to pull it up. This is golden raspberry. This is my husband's favorite. He says it tastes like candy. It's so beautiful. I believe that this is a purple, some kind of a purple something, purple royal, purple celebrity. Those are still not right. But my favorite one is just the regular old red heritage, and it is the one doing the best. It is about as tall as me, sending up the floricanes. And there's just berries all laden throughout here that we need to harvest. This is like your classic raspberry. I'll pull this one. Your classic raspberry that you would buy at the store. It's just delicious and good. Here's our blackberry patch. This is Natchets, and this is Apache. Both of them are doing okay. The Apache has a ton of berries on it, but they're like sad berries that didn't get pollinated all the way. So hopefully next year we can remedy that. I have to look into like, do they need supplement or whatever. But look at the floricane coming out of this thing for next year. Oh my God, that thing is 8 feet tall. It's taller than the tallest sunflower in my patch, if that gives you any perspective. This tiny little plant, and then this coming out for next year. So I'm kind of excited to see what that does. Here's just a little, I'll just show you that beautiful gladiola that's kind of falling over. This is our peony patch. It's all done for the year. Some pretty daylilies, and then a pretty hosta about to go to flower. This is our herb patch that I just started. This is another new bed, but you know, herbs grow really slow, but things are doing really well. Again, I didn't mark anything. Pretty sure that's oregano. That's definitely parsley. There's like bee balm, there's chives, that's fennel, dill, flax, that's just about done. I don't know, there's a couple different type of things in here, and I suppose we will figure out what they are when they get big enough. I don't know what that is. We'll see. Okay, that's the last thing back here. I'm going to take you up to the front and just show you our last bed, and then the garden tour will commence. Not necessarily a garden per se, but this is our front like flower bed type of deal. There's all kinds of stuff going on in here. It's really pretty, and we like looking at it. Also my cat Reese, he's buried right there. Another volunteer. I don't even know how it got up here. Must have been a bird. And then this is the last bed. This is our newest bed from this year. This is where all of our potatoes were, where we just harvested 100 potatoes out of here. That's why it kind of looks all like, ugh, disheveled. But there's still a couple things growing in here. I had planted the watermelons interspersed with the potatoes, and they seem to be doing really well. The best I've ever done with watermelons. I'm apparently not a watermelon grower. That one's called the Georgia Rattlesnake. I think that's supposed to be a pretty big melon. This is the Moon and Stars, which named for it because it looks like kind of like star pattern on the leaves, and it'll be on the melon too. And then this is our green bean trellis. 2 different kinds of green beans. I think this might be Kentucky Wonder, and this might be Cantari. I'm not certain. But they're doing well, and they're starting their climb. So this should be covered in green beans anytime now. And then the last thing is peanuts, which are doing really well and have like really beautiful little delicate flowers on them. This is our first time growing peanuts, so I hope we get enough to at least make 1 batch of boiled peanuts, because that's what I'm all about. But this will be our sweet potato patch. Maybe a couple other things, and like flowers and herbs and stuff will go in here too. It's really loose because of all the mulch on top, so I think the sweet potatoes will do well. So alrighty, that's the garden tour.